Hello friends. Today we're going to do a little demonstration of this new keyboard display unit, also known as a KDU, that I received. The model number, if you can read it, is 12113-1000-01. And this is a newer style KDU for the 7000 or 7800 series Harris radios. This is in contrast, for example, to this style KDU, which are fairly common on eBay. You can get them for $100, maybe even less. This style KDU was very commonly used, still, by the way, still can be used in many of the 7000, 7800 series radios, but very commonly used for the RF, the Harris RF-7850M, or the PRC 152, 152A, etc. And also can be used for HF radios. This can be used, for example, with the RF-7850M-HH. I believe could also be used with the 7800H and even the 7800M, which is 30 to 512, 30 to 2000 megahertz radio. So this is still quite useful, very common. It uses a, let's see if I can get it, I'm sure, yeah, there it is. I think it's a, let's see, can't count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 pin. It's not a LEMO connector, but to me it looks reminiscent of a LEMO connector here. It's got a little joystick here where you can go up, down, left, right, volume, etc. But for some reason, in Harris's divine wisdom, they decided to do something different on some other of these radios. For example, this is the 7850M-HH. HH stands for handheld. And this is a 30 to 512 radio, and it is a later version of the, for example, the RF-310M that are common. You could see Chinese duplicated the 310M quite extensively for companies called TRI or TCA. And those are usually two-line LCDs, like so, two-line LCDs. This is a 4 or 5-line LCD. But in their infinite wisdom, they decided, even though all these radios I've spoken about use this 64-pin, I think it's 64, no, I'm sorry, 32-pin, 4 times 4, yeah, 32-pin side connector that sort of bolts on. You can get all kinds of accessories for it. In their infinite wisdom, they chose to change the keying. I'll show a little bit about that. But the keying essentially prevents you from using the wrong cable with the wrong radio. And so, they must have changed around some of the signals on this 32-pin connector so that older cables were, sorry, losing focus. Older cables were no longer compatible. Don't know why they do those things. 32 pins ought to be enough to get what you want and have a common standard amongst all your radios. But Harris, just didn't do that. In fact, they have many different keying standards, and I'll show a little bit about that. So here is a cable designed to be used with the RF-310M or the PRC-152. What kind of cable it is not that important. It happens to be for remote control. But as you can see here, the flat on this this D-shaped keyway is on the bottom. Now, on this remote, and on the radio, of course, you can see that the flat is positioned on the top. Hopefully that's really clear in the video here. Okay, and so that is what causes us to no longer be able to use dozens of different accessory cables designed for the PRC-152 and the RF-310M. Prevents us from using it on this 7850M and similar radios. Again, a bit annoying, certainly since I don't have the military budget to just buy a whole set of new cables. And I'll also show this on the side of the radios as well. And so that is what causes us to have to look for this really, really rare new style KDU. The idea, of course, is that you hang this over your shoulder, and oftentimes the radio itself will be mounted on your back. And so if you need to change parameters or change the volume, you can't take your whole load-bearing vest off and try to access the radio. This makes it much, much easier to have it just over your shoulder, hanging down, and when you need it, you pick it up and you make your changes. So now what are we looking at here? So here is the radio. I happen to have it stored standing in a charger. I'm not using the battery charger, but it just makes it easier to film this without having to lie it down on the table. Just makes a convenient place to store it. One thing neat thing I'll show about this radio is I recently acquired one of these newfangled batteries. This is you probably can't read it here, a 7 amp hour battery. And the nice thing about these batteries is it has a built-in state of charge display. 0 to 25, 20 to 50, 80 to 70, 81 to 7, sorry, can't read any of that myself, 60 to 75, 75 to 100, something like that. And then it also gives you a general health, which I assume has something to do with the ability to hold a charge or recharge. It's a lithium style battery, lithium chemistry battery, lithium polymer, something to that effect. Okay, so let's attach the KDU to the radio. It's got this screw post here and a screw handle, and you need to adjust it right, get the keyhole in, and without damaging anything, tighten up the side adapter here. All right, and that's pretty much all you have to do. This version of the radio recognizes the KDU pretty much instantly, whereas the 310M and the 152, you had to tell the radio that the remote was connected. This one seems to be a lot smarter. So what we'll do is we'll turn the radio on, and we'll let it boot up. And I'll try to zoom in so you can see what we've got here. Hopefully you can see the screen. All right, so a few things I'll point out here. Okay, so what you can see is on the radio itself, we've got it set to 144 megahertz to 50. And it seems to be operating fine. But on the remote, it says remote KDU disabled, turn switch to, can't really see that well, R. It's asking to turn the switch to R. Now what does that mean? On the top of the radio, this is the switch that sets your preset, channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, etc. And as you can hopefully see if it's coming out on the video, so there are 13 channels, and then there's one called, you have to lift it up, R, for remote. You zoom in just a hair more on that so you can see that. And now it's set to R for remote. If you can see that. The lighting's not great in here. I'm still working on learning how to do lighting. It says remote KDU enabled. And the KDU itself now is showing the full display of the radio. All right, and we can do everything by changing our presets. So I'm going through presets. I'm doing that by pressing the pre-channel up or down. Okay. I'm just cycling through some presets that I have set. All right, and the other thing is, of course, you can set the lighting. So I'm going to turn the flash off here. you should be able to see it's kind of lit green. It looks better than this, you know, hard to capture on the video. But what you can do is you can go into, and the backlighting will turn on and off as momentary. So for example, they're turned on and it'll eventually, after I think about 10 seconds, it'll turn off. But you can change that. So I believe the way to do that is as follows. I think we go into the program mode here. And let's see if I can remember how to do this. Scroll down. Okay, I think it's under user interfaces. There is a web interface. What language? This is kind of cool. I don't know what languages I've got loaded. Let's have a look. Arabic and English. Arabic and English. Okay. ASCII remote, and here's the front panel. So actually, I'm not showing what I wanted to show. I wanted to show the momentary lighting or the permanent lighting. But what we'll do is show there is a front panel option here. As I showed before, this display is disabled on the radio itself, and this display is enabled. So if we go into front panel mode, and by the way, here's the backlight level, contrast, and here's the backlight momentary or not. We can turn this on if we full on, which means it'll always operate. Consume your battery a little bit more, or quite a bit more, but worth it. And now here's an interesting option here. Control single. What that means is, well, I'll show you. Single means the KDU is in control when connected, but if you change it, the other option is multi-mirrored. Not exactly sure what those two terms mean, but once you set it and you exit out of here, now the radio has its display, and let's see if I can zoom in. I'm going to change the preset on the remote, and let's see if it changes on the radio itself. I believe it will. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Now the real question is, let's see what happens if I adjust. Can I adjust the radio from the front panel of the radio itself? And let's see here. Let's go down. Oh, yeah. So what this multi means, of course, is that both the remote KDU and the radio itself are operational. And of course, they'll always show the same information. All right, well, that's about it. I think that's long enough for today. Really cool acquisition. I showed it in my last unboxing, and I just wanted to give a little video on it. I hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.